Hi everyone, this is Jim Gao with the Hashout channel. Today is with Mr. Will Wang here, talking about topics in Hashgraph. So Will, do you have any questions regarding Hashgraph?
Okay. Actually, I have no idea of this, thing. It's a brand new thing for me, actually. So I heard about that the Hashgraph is kind of related to Bitcoin, right?
Yes, it's similar. It's in the same family of DLT, decentralized ledger technology. Bitcoin, you can consider that as the first generation of DLT, and the subsequent generations include like Ethereum and EOS. And to me, these are blockchain based. It's a different architecture compared to Hashgraph. Hashgraph is completely different in design and implementation, and I think it's the golden standard in reaching consensus in a way that no other technology can surpass in terms of throughput and performance and security. And I won't be surprised that you say that you're very new to this. You don't hear about it too much because it is a relatively new technology. It was only invented 2 years ago by a computer scientist whose name was Dr. Lehman Beard. He was a professor at the Air Force Academy, a brilliant guy. He got his PhD in computer science from Carnegie Mellon, and he had a coworker whose name was Mance Harmon. And in 2015, they were working and living in Austin, Texas. And every day after work, they would just go to a local Starbucks, and they would sit at a table in a corner somewhere and just hash out different ideas in new technology and whatnot. And one day, Dr. Beard had this idea. He wanted to solve a very difficult computer science problem, which is how to use the voting algorithm in computer science to reach consensus quickly. Voting algorithm is a consensus algorithm that's been developed for over 40 years in the computer science community, but it's not applicable. The reason for that is it takes relatively long time to reach consensus, especially for a large network that consists of millions of nodes. For millions of nodes, each node has to cast a vote, to tally the vote, to see what the vote count is. It takes a long time. So it's not applicable in real life situations. And also in computer science, there's a legacy protocol called the gossip protocol, which is the fastest way to propagate information throughout a network. Just imagine like you're gossiping in a work environment. Whatever information you tell your coworker just randomly tells the information to somebody else, and so on and so on. So the information gets passed down exponentially fast, and it's the fastest way to propagate information. However, you can't really reach consensus. It's just information being passed out, but no consensus. So there's one algorithm that can reach consensus, but very slow. And there's a protocol that propagates information really fast, but there's no consensus. So Dr. Beard his quest was to combine these two, to see whether we can also have some kind of hybrid algorithm that can reach consensus also quickly. That's essentially what Bitcoin was trying to do 10 years ago. But Bitcoin is inherently flawed. First of all, it's not ABFT, it's not asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerant. And second of all, it's really slow. It's only 3 to 7 transactions per second. And the later generations of blockchains, such as Ethereum, can only improve that to 20 transactions per second. But Hashgraph, they were able to get over 500,000 transactions per second per shard. So it's several order of magnitudes faster than the other decentralized technologies. So basically, the technology is very new. It's only been around for 2 years.
Yes.
And this is still the very early stage, even before the early adopters of this technology. That's why not too many people has heard of it. But I think this is a transformation technology that's going to change everything in life in the next 10 to 20 years, just like what internet did for the past 20 years. Internet changed pretty much everything, how everything was done. So we're still very early, and I encourage anyone who is interested in this space to dig down and study it and get themselves familiar with this concept to see whether this is truly a transformational technology.
So it sounds, it'll be a big improvement, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the need for reaching consensus on a larger network really derives from bottom up. It's not pushed down to us from the elites, the power that be, the corporations, the governments. It's really from average people like you and I. And Bitcoin has proved that. Bitcoin was not pushed by central banks. It was really a hacker, Satoshi Nakamoto, published this white paper and started the Genesis block. And 10 years later, everybody in the world pretty much at least knows about it. Has heard of it. They might not understand the concept of it, but they at least, they know someone who had used it before. So this is a trend that's driven by people. And that's why I believe it's more promising than the other technological trends such as 3D printing, nanotechnology, or even AI. Everybody thinks those are the big mega technology trends that's going to transform the world. But I think decentralized technology that's represented by Hashgraph is the de facto direction where the next innovations will come from.
Do you think the technology right now is mature?
No,
or it's still developing.
It's still at the very early stages. If you analyze the progress of DLT, like Hashgraph, it's almost right now. It's building the infrastructure. Right now, it's very similar to what Cisco was doing in the mid 1990s. It's laying down the copper wires, the fiber optics, the routers, and the switches all over the world, so that this internet infrastructure can be put in place. And on top of this layer of infrastructure, applications such as Amazon.com, Google.com, Alibaba can be developed and used. Or like another analogy is that the cell phone towers. It's really laying down the foundation work of the cell phone network across the country, so that two cell phones can talk to each other, relayed by these cell phone towers. So it's really like it's building the infrastructure level right now. But I think in the next 10 to 20 years, many applications will begin to develop on the Hashgraph network, what they call decentralized applications, or dApps. And that will really transform our lives. It's just like, when internet first came out, you can send emails back and forth. But you can't really do much else. You know what I mean? It's not until the Amazons and the Googles that came that really revolutionized everything.
Yeah.
And people started using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't know what's gonna be, 20 years later. It's just like today, you never know. 20 years later, just like 2040.
Yes.
What can we do? How does Hashgraph works in 20 years later? Just like the internet,
exactly
does now.
Exactly. And nobody, just like when Alibaba started or when Google started in 1997 or 98, in the beginning stage, nobody could imagine this is going to become the dominant company in the next 20 years. I feel like Hashgraph, it has that potential, to be the next Google, the next Cisco. You know what I mean? And it takes a generation of entrepreneurs to have the similar vision and to build applications on top of this infrastructure to change the world, revolutionize how we view things and how we interact with each other. And that's why I love the slogan of Hashgraph, which is to build the trust layer of internet. That when you think about it, that's their goal. Right now, the internet is very extensive. Everybody in the world pretty much uses internet, but there's no trust on the internet. There are many scams, and any transaction, peer-to-peer transaction, cannot take place unless it's through a third party like central bank or whatnot. But Bitcoin has changed that. Has directly connected peer-to-peer transaction value, not only information but value, across internet without an intermediary, and that's revolutionary. But Bitcoin is only the first step. It's just like the first engine, It's very slow. It only has 1 horsepower. Now, 1 horsepower engine can't do anything with it. But Hashgraph, imagine it's 10,000 horsepower engine. Now you can do things with it.
Do anything.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You can build planes, boats, ocean liners,
everything. You
cars.
change the world. Actually.
Exactly.
It sounds great.
So very, very exciting. Very exciting. And it's very early. It's very early. I think just like right now, if you want to become an entrepreneur in the internet space, it's going to be difficult. You have to find a niche because you're competing against, these Amazons and Googles and Facebooks. You know what I mean? It's hard to stand out. And even if you stand out, you'll be bought out by these giants immediately. But they haven't, like these multinational corporations, they haven't really paid too much attention in the DLT space yet. Hashgraph is not only new to you and me, it's new to even to the elites, to the power that be. So there's a lot of potential in this space, and it's easy to stand out. Just imagine, when iPhone first came out, in 2007, anybody can just write, any kind of apps and just post it on App Store, Apple App Store.
Yes.
And it was easy to stand out. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of apps in the App Store, and you have to be so much better than everybody else to separate yourself from the crowd, to make a profit or to stand out. But right now, just you can imagine the DLT space is kind of like internet in the mobile internet space in 2007, 2008. It's so new, and the potential is so limitless, and it's so easy to stand out in this space.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think, it's the perfect time.
So what I mean is, it's very easy to be outstanding, right?
Yes, I think so. So.
So because it's just started, right? The technology, and we need you guys to come in and help us, right?
Yes.
Just develop the technology,
next generation.
And, build the world. Type of things. I don't know, because I have no idea with this technology. So
I think nobody knew how the technology would develop in the next 10 to 20 years. Just like 20 years ago, even the Jack Ma's and Jeff Bezos, when they were starting the Alibabas and Amazon.coms of their time, they didn't have a total grasp of how internet is going to transform their companies in the next 20 years. They learn as they go along the way.
Yeah.
Because there are many, evolutions of the technology in the subsequent years, and you got to adapt your business model to that, constantly, and your paradigm will shift. The way I envision the technology is going to pan out. It might not pan out according to what I think. It might go to another direction. Now, that's why it's important to remain flexible and adjust your strategy accordingly, according to the trend of the technology. But I believe the mega trend of decentralization is here to stay, because people are sick and tired of too much power being concentrated in too few hands. People want this decentralized structure, and we see that, in the success of Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies. Now we have a vehicle in Hashgraph that can carry out the true vision of these early pioneers of decentralization, but except on a different platform that we call Hashgraph. So, in short, this is a golden opportunity. We're truly living in the greatest time, the greatest moment in history. I think something wonderful, big and wonderful, is going to come out in the next few years. And I liken, the revolution of DLT, as the fourth industrial revolution. Like the first revolution was industrial revolution was happening in England. It was the steam engine, the invention of steam engine, and the second generation of the second revolution was the use of electricity in the early 20th century. At the end of the 20th century, you have digitization, the rise of personal computers and the internet. I think we're at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, and people guess what that is going to be. A lot of people are betting on AI. I mean, nothing against AI, but I don't think that's what people want. Average people want decentralization. They want power from being distributed from centralized authorities like governments, central banks, corporations, down to average person like you and I. We want to be our own decision makers instead of surrendering our free will and our financial well-being to institutions and governments. I think that's the mega trend, and hopefully, we can take advantage of that and be part of this wave of change instead of just another observer.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very nice talking to everyone. Hopefully, we'll see you on our next episode.其实千万不要太 self-conscious，
你现在你就多点自信嘛啊！你把你想象成是一个帅哥
啊，那
电影明星，想象成一个电影明星，
已经开始了对吧？
那我随便什么时候开始都可以。
OK，
OK，
那有 remote 吗？啊，哎，
对。